and lonely. Since you've been away, I've been thinking of you. Trying to understand the reason you left me. What were you going through? I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. As I look around, I see things that remind me. Just to see a smile made my heart fill with joy. I still recall all those dreams we shared together. Where did you run to, boy? I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. Sometimes I've wondered, I didn't understand just where you were trying to go. Only you knew the plan. And I tried to be there, but you wouldn't let me in. But now you're gone away, boy. I feel so broken hearted. I knew the day we started that we were meant to be. If only you let me. I've cried so many tears. Gotta face now all my fears. We let time slip away. I need you, boy, here today. There was so much you gave to my heart, to my soul. There was so much of your dreams that were never told. You had so much hope for a brighter day. Why were you my fault? Plucked away. Tell me why the road turns. Tell me why the road turns. Tell me why.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this special edition, Sunday edition of Tea Time with Bunky. How's the volume? You guys let me know how the volume is today. Um, this episode, I'm waiting for Stacy to come on. It's a story, Where's My Brother? It's about Marvin Cornelius Gibbs. Many of you may know, but I'm finding that all right, Lisa, many more of you don't know the story of Marvin. So let me give you a little bit of background. Marvin was 19 years old when he went missing. On March 29th, 1985, he lived in Main Street houses. So he was one of us. He was one of us. Um, Marvin, according to an unknown witness, they're not naming the witness. Marvin was last seen getting off of the short line, which is now the coach bus at by the Delano Hotel. The Delano is no longer standing, and that's in Loch Sheldrick, New York. So according to this witness, he was last seen getting off of the bus after like a slight altercation with the bus driver. Nobody can verify, confirm, deny those allegations, but was written. Since then, there have been many stories, assumptions, speculations of what's happened to Marvin. Um, I've had the opportunity to talk to his sister, who'll be on in a few minutes, um, and she's going to clarify some of these things, that was heard. But she's not on yet. Still waiting for her. But in July 18th, 2010, there was an article in the Sullivan County Times Record where the town of Fallsburg detective Brendan Pavesi was interviewed, and he stated that it was a cold case and that he just disappeared. We know that people don't just disappear. You don't just vanish off the face of the earth and nobody knows where you are. So hopefully after this show airs, um, it can be picked back up. Like the FBI, everybody was involved. His mother, this is in honor of his mother, Sister Pearl Gibbs. Um, Let me change this. Sister Pearl Gibbs, who has passed away, not knowing what was going on with her baby boy. Um, there's going to be some pretty, probably disturbing conversations going on as Stacey explains some of the things that they have gone through. I'm still waiting for her. Stacey's on a different, she's in Texas, so she needed a few minutes to get get in. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. Wait a minute, she's having a little bit of technical issues. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Dean. I had to unplug everything and go back to the way it used to be. She's having a few difficulties getting in. I'm gonna try to invite her in a different way. Let's see. Hold on, everybody. Stacey. It's like there's going to be problems with this story being told. But it's okay. At the end of the day, it was brought to the forefront. People know what's going on. And I know that I sent it to a messenger. Okay, give me a second, you guys. I'm going to try to get her in. In the meantime, I'm going to play this song again until she comes in. Give me 2 minutes. Hey, cuz. Sheila Jackson, yeah, Fallsburg Police again. I don't know. You know, I'm not downing the police, but they made the comment that, you know, when they found, when they located his mother, the number wasn't working. Those of us, if they would have asked people around his sister's age, friends, any questions, we could have told them that she was in Middletown, but I don't remember getting asked. I don't know. He was a young black boy from Fallsburg, from a single parent household, and it's just like real sketchy. Hold on, you guys. Let me play this music. I'll be right back.
As I look around, I see things that remind me. Just to see a smile made my heart feel with joy. I still recall all those dreams we shared together. Where did you run to, boy?
I'm just waiting on Stacey.
I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why
tea, my tea, Uncle Mark.
Tell me why the road turns. Tell me why the road turns. Tell me why.
Okay, she just messaged me. She had to download a whole different browser. But in the meantime, also let's talk about this. They went through a situation where I'm sure everybody heard the rumor because there was a rumor going around that um, they had found Marvin, all of these different things. Well, in West Virginia. But what happened was there was a person that was found, and he was wrapped in a rug. His remains showed that he was shot in the head, and Stacy had to do what they call DNA phototyping, where the genetic material is used to determine the eye color, hair color, skin color, and the ancestry information. So they've gone through that, and it came out not to be Marvin. So we're gonna debunk that right off the bat. You know, Marvin was never found. His mom, like I said, has passed away, not knowing what happened to her son. But in the meantime, there were a lot of speculations, and something was said where, as far as his last sighting, that he was given a ride to Liberty, which we're going to debunk that right now. Also, he was not given a ride to Liberty. He was on the bus and was off of the bus due to asked to get off of the bus due to a situation which no one knows who wasn't on there, and he was last seen in front of the Delano Hotel, and the unnamed witness stated that she saw him walking towards Liberty, which, if you know the area, that's questionable because how can you um, see him walking towards Liberty if you got off the bus in Loch Sheldrick? If he was getting off the bus, um, probably took him a minute to gather his thoughts, and he was last seen with a duffel bag, regular teen gear that they used to wear back in the day. So there's a lot of questions surrounding this. And remember, this was 1985. And for the record, today is Marvin's birthday. So that's why this date was chosen. Um, Marvin's like Uncle Mark and Uncle James's age, around there with Aunt Denise. Um, those of us that grew up around here, we knew Marvin. We knew the story of Marvin. And like I said before, I'm learning from the kids around here that they don't know anything about it. So here's Stacy without further ado.
Hey, Bunky.
Hi, you're frozen. Oh, there you go.
Am I?
Every,
Oh,
nope, you're good now. How's the volume, everybody? I hope the volume is good. Nope, there we go. Bunky, can you speak a little louder? Okay.
mine was weird. So I'm actually on my phone versus my computer.
Okay. So
But
I
can you see me though? Like, is
I
every?
see you great with a happy birthday sign behind you. I see you.
Yeah, yesterday was my daughter's party. She's actually born 3 days before my brother. And
Happy birthday. Faye, right?
Dave.
Faith. Faith.
Yeah.
Okay, so I told them um a little bit about what I have, things that we've discussed, but I'd rather them hear what's going on from you. Well, number one, first of all, how you doing?
I'm
How are you
awesome.
today?
I mean, it's always a bittersweet day. So,
Right.
but I'm doing well. My family's well. Everybody's well. So, you know, with regard to everything that's going on around us
Right.
in the world and in the nation, I say I'm doing really great.
I love your attitude.
Yeah.
I love your attitude. Wait, how do I get that? There we go. Get that message off. Okay, so you want to talk to the people a little bit about the circumstances that you know of surrounding your brother's disappearance. I already debunked a couple of them, a
Yeah.
couple, but let's hear it from you. Let's hear it from you.
Well, I'm sure Bunky's already done this, but I just want to thank everybody who tuned in and is listening currently. I don't know if this is this on Facebook right now, Bunky?
Yes, yes, I shared it on your page.
So um, basically, what I want to say, you'll see my phone move around a little bit. I'm just going to go double check that my friends are able to see what's happening in the moment. Um, I basically want to, here we go,
There you go.
to thank everybody um, for showing up here to listen to what's been going on, what really happened that day or those few days, like when my brother first disappeared and all of that.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for everybody who came on. I hope that by the end of this show, there'll be a few people that would step up and actually say something. Even
Right.
if you think we already heard it, um, it doesn't matter how small of a detail you think it might be. It's really a big deal to us.
Right.
So, um, so basically, so just thank you for being here, first of all, and taking the time to listen in. So, I was 15, I guess, at that
Mm-hmm.
time. I'm now 53. 38 years have gone by. That's a long time to
That's a
miss
long time.
somebody
Yeah.
and to not have any information. But I think it's enough time where people can come forward and come out of the closet and not be afraid and not be concerned about who's going to say they said whatever, divulge that information, that kind of thing.
Right.
That particular day, it was my brother was going to Sullivan Community College and also working at the Yon Company in Liberty, New York.
Which is still there.
hmm He worked part time there. He went to culinary arts in the morning most days, and then he went to the Yon Company from whenever he finished his classes till about 4:30 or so, and then he would come home. My brother at the time had a gray four-door Nissan Sentra, and typically he would be driving himself around, but on this particular day, my cousin had given him a ride to work because he was going to be using my brother's car that day. So my brother picked him, I think he picked my brother up from the college, drove him to the Yawn Company, and then um, went on over to the Concord Hotel where he worked. So it was probably around 4:30
Mm-hmm.
when my brother was getting off of work, and he said that Nancy Lupien, who was his girlfriend at the time, who Nancy Lupien hyphen Gandhi, um, she was his girlfriend at the time and was going to pick him up and bring him to the Concord to pick up his car so that he could then come home and take me and my mother grocery shopping. My mother didn't drive, and I was
Right.
15, so I was not driving. So, and just to take a pause right here. This is not, um, I'm like, I know this to be the case because
Right.
this is what was happening
Right.
at my house
Right.
and via phone with my mom and my brother.
Right.
Okay, so this is not what
Hearsay. Right.
I was there.
Right.
And then, so my mom was like, fine, no problem. So I know a lot of you know my brother or knew him at the time, but the things you wouldn't know about him, which are central to how we lived in our house, was things like he's meticulous. Um, his sneakers needed to match his clothes. Um, if he didn't have something to match, pretty much he would wear the same kind of colors in keeping with what he did match.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to take a bath in his own house. He didn't like to eat a lot of different people's food. I say all that to say, when you think about a person that's going to just up and disappear,
Right.
you think about the habits of the person that's doing the disappearing. Okay.
Right.
And there's a whole lot of other things that are irrelevant because you didn't live with them. So those kind of things don't matter. They're more per, like privy for the investigation as opposed to me just having a conversation about the goings on inside my house per
But
se.
it helps people understand, though, basically, a little bit more about him.
Exactly. So when it came to our family, we didn't spend the night out a lot at
Mm-hmm.
different people's houses. I mean, even close church friends, we were limited on where we could sleep out, um, that kind of thing. As
Right.
of growing up like that, My brother didn't really like to shower at other people's houses,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. That was his thing.
Right.
So he would cook me breakfast in the morning, that kind of thing. Just
Mm-hmm.
things that he did for me, that he
Right.
mom to help take care of me. So
Right.
these were things that he did regularly.
Right.
Um, like we lived in Main Street houses, so the laundry mat was down the steps from our apartment.
Yeah, it was right there.
I didn't carry laundry. That's what my brother did. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I could, I, I didn't have to. So to show you. I'm trying to show you something.
Right.
You know,
Right.
um, if someone, and this happened regularly because we were church kids, so we got picked on quite often, was picking on me, he came
Mm-hmm.
and he saw about it. Walks me home, made sure I was in, locked the door, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
That was the way he operated. So
Right.
this is what I know. What you
Right.
guys know, whatever you have in your mind,
Right.
that's fine, and I'm not going to negate that because that would
Right.
be your truth
Right.
about whatever. So this particular day, he would have been coming home. He would have been dirty. He would have wanted to take a shower
Mm-hmm.
to get ready to go to the store.
Okay.
And where we're going, probably James Way, but
Mm-hmm.
I,
Janeway.
we had to go to ShopRite,
Mm-hmm.
or what was the store next door?
Great American.
Great American. We had to go somewhere to get
Right.
food. But even if he was going to sit in the car, he wasn't going to be dirty in the car. So he needed to get home and then do all these things. So we
Right.
waited for 5 o'clock, 5:30 would would been a would have been a time when we would have thought it would have been reasonable to
Mm-hmm.
assume he was back from Liberty. 5:30 came and went. 6:30 came and went. As did 7:30, 8:30, all the way into the next morning. Like maybe one. By 11 o'clock, my mother was already calling people to pray because it didn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Um, Probably earlier than that. But what she did was she sent me to bed, but I didn't go to sleep because I was trying to figure it out. And in my mind, I'm thinking, "Ooh, he is in trouble because we needed
Right.
to happen." And so I'm thinking all the things that a kid would think.
Right.
He hanging out with his friends. He's going to be in so much trouble. This and that. We already would have taken a cab there and back if we knew he was going to be late like this and
Right.
different things. And then what ended up happening was we got no news. So the very next day, as early as my mother could, we went to the police station.
Right.
We're talking to the police. Sammy Siegel was
Sammy Siegel. Yeah. The chief at the time.
not a nice individual. Um, there was some conversation about him, and Sammy was like, well, he is 19 years old, and that kind of thing. My mom's like, it doesn't matter, this is
Right.
not behavior, so forth and so on.
Right.
Basically, she was trying to help him to understand who he was dealing with. Well,
Exactly.
he was down here a couple times. I had to arrest him for one thing or another.
Which is so
Well,
irrelevant. So
one
irrelevant.
time, yeah. So he detained him for he was being loud with two individuals. I'm gonna leave them out of it because they are no longer with us, and I really don't want to. I'm not really here to
Talk
I
about
don't
anybody else.
or anything like that.
Right. Right.
Think like we're all grown now, but it's unfortunate. But the thing is, they were actually bothering me, and so when my brother came to take care of that, they then called the cops because their mother was at work, and so my brother's now walking on the way to the basketball court to go play basketball, and he gets picked up and brought to the police station, and he wasn't arrested. He was just detained, and
Right.
they were trying to shake him up and scare him. So my mother went down to collect him, and she was like, "What is the deal here?
Right.
Why are you bothering him?
Right.
And you can't be around here harassing the young women." And my mother was like, "You should probably look into that because this is constant." So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, that happened. Then there was like, I guess, incident with some other kids that he had gotten in trouble with, and so it was multiple youth involved in some kind of incident that I didn't have all the details about at the time. But this one store used to be the Indian store on the corner, remember?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Forgot
And
about that store. Right.
those people, like, I want to say they came to our house, but I can't remember. I think they ended up finding whatever they were looking for at somebody else's house. And so then that became an issue that went away for him.
Mm-hmm.
Really, he has no police record or anything like that. But because Sammy Siegel had had a couple of run-ins with him,
Right. He was on the radar.
he was on the radar. So my brother, um, so he told my mother. Eventually, he said, if he was the last missing black boy alive, I would not help you look for him.
What? Wait.
Out loud, he said it. So the thing is, I heard him because I was present for that conversation. So if he was the last missing black boy on the planet, I would not look for him.
And I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that because, right, no, not that part I didn't know. I didn't want to say that because he was a young black boy, there was no traction in his missing case. But we just going to leave that alone. Okay, go ahead. I'm
But
sorry.
reality, that's part of it.
Yeah,
And it was his age. It was just all kinds of things that they were using as excuses. So what happened was
right.
my mother and Sister Pearson from Ellenville had gone so backwards, just trying to rewind a little bit. His girlfriend said that she had gone to Hilldale Arms. She had picked him up from
He's
Yarm,
still there. Still there.
went to Hilldale Arms, or
Mm-hmm.
he had to stop off and see a friend right quick, and then um, she was bringing him over. And she said he went in, but he didn't come out, so she left.
These are all accounts from the girlfriend.
The girlfriend.
Okay.
So
Just
my
getting clarity. Okay.
mom is like, okay, so you weren't dropping him off. You were just sort of bringing him to pick up something from another student. I don't know if it was that kid had borrowed my brother's culinary knives that day or what, but we got the knives back. Interestingly enough, um, so she said that he never came out, so she just left. I said, okay. So we let that rock for a minute. We revisited that many times, as did the police and a whole bunch of other people. But so my mom went there.
But did they really review it? Did they really? Well,
Uh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I doubt it, because if they did, I think we would have more information if he was actually present in that
Right.
place.
Right.
So what my mom did was she went back there the next day. She got a ride with my
Right.
brother over there, and they looked. They locked on doors. They looked around. It was a dead end. And then she went back there with another sister from church and that sister's dogs. And they were starting to walk around in the woods um, there to see if there was any like sign of anywhere he had gone, maybe into the woods, or was he in the woods, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So after that happened,
Right.
after the police found out that people were actually out there searching with dogs, and after Channel 2 News and CBS News, and it was Eyewitness and CBS, and then the Missing Persons Foundation, and then the Adam Walsh Foundation. I mean, all within a matter of like a week, were all piling on to help with this investigation. Then all of a sudden, we get a flyer with a shot of my brother that looks like one of the shots they were using, like when they were trying to scare him. So they were like processing him.
How they always do with young black boys, use the worst, the
So
arrest picture. Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
like, they don't let you pose or anything, but
Right.
it's just so basically what happened was now they want to put a flyer together
Right.
and they want to start distributing them like the good police that they are. And so that was kind, I guess. And so they were handing out flyers, and then that's when we started getting people knocking on the door telling us, all these various leads that they had, or drunk people showing up to say, well, I'm sorry, Miss Gibbs. I'm the one who killed him. I threw him in the
What?
captain. Hmm.
No.
Phone calls from the different morgues here in New York City, and making trips to see people that don't look anything like my brother. That's kind of it's off-putting to say the least.
Yeah.
I was never allowed in the morgue, so my mother would go. My cousin would go with her, um, and it was a scene because this is like it's a lot. Um,
Yeah.
had like teachers being supportive, and one of which was like Mel Mednick and Mr. Cheeger, and just a lot of the elementary school teachers who knew him and really did love him.
Right.
Um, just trying to be supportive and help
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And so it was an interesting time because I didn't really know altogether what was going on. I didn't really trust anybody. I think that was probably a time when I could say that anxiety and probably a little bit of paranoia had taken a little bit of a place in my life because
Well, absolutely.
at that we didn't have my mom's asking a ton of questions. Nobody's answering us. We know people know. We had gotten an account that these individuals had come to what was the name of Adolf and them store downtown?
Wasn't it just called
People,
Adolph's?
probably
Okay.
someone had come to the store and was somebody was saying that these two individuals had come into the store and they were looking for him, for my brother,
Uh-huh.
2 days prior to his disappearance.
Oh, Coles, Coles. Okay.
Coles. So someone had come into Coles 2 days prior to his disappearance
Mm-hmm.
looking for him. Those same people back the day before he disappeared and they were looking for him.
Now, was this reported to the? This was reported to the Baldwin PD, right? Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so basically, trying to get information like where's Marvin type of thing.
Right.
So let me just put to bed one myth real quick.
Please.
Someone had said that my brother was had caught a ride to Liberty.
Yeah, I spoke about that. Go ahead, speak about it.
He didn't catch a ride to Liberty actually. That night that he disappeared, we don't know what happened the night he
Right.
disappeared,
Right.
except for that a bus driver gives an account that he was on the bus.
So it was the
Um,
bus driver that said that, not a woman.
right.
Because the paper, the Times Herald Record, said that it was a woman. So that's where the woman thing. So apparently there were a lot of false information given. T- Times is bootleg anyway, but there was a lot of false information given apparently.
I just feel like there was. I understood then, like how the news worked at that point. I understood that people take a story, they go crazy with it,
Right.
they add their own little bit to it. It's like playing telephone, but in the worst way possible when you're on the other end of the story.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
I think the thing that bothered me a lot was the fact that there were a lot of people who knew information but didn't care to share that with us.
And that's the problem.
You know, they
That's yeah.
they didn't tell us. Um they didn't say, Miss Gibbs, this is what I know to be the case. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Oops.
And were these were friends or people that were associated with
Um, I mean, I think a
associates,
lot of people call
associates.
themselves friends, but
Right,
I'm,
yeah. Associates
yeah, it's kind of one of those things you learn
as you get
how
older.
to, how to deal with and whatever. For me, it was it was interesting to see how many people actually don't. So like, I totally don't know what I'm doing with this phone. Um, not now. It's asking me about, do I want to add like dictation or something?
No, because what happens is, yeah, you don't have to. What happens is when the show views after,
Mhm.
It for people that um are hard of hearing, whatever. It has captions. You don't have to.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fine.
okay because I'm like, Bunky,
Yeah.
do I need to?
No, you don't have to.
And then like, I don't know what happened to my Okay, do you? Hi, Joe. Okay, so basically, it was off-putting because when I would walk to the post office every day, I didn't know who I could trust. I
Right.
felt like everybody knew something and wouldn't
Right.
tell my mother anything. I
Right.
felt like my mother was like the nicest person on the planet.
Yes. For those that don't know,
For-
Sister Gibbs, Sister Pearl Gibbs, yes, she was.
I'm trying to figure out like if this was your sibling or if
Exactly.
this was your mother's child,
Right.
why wouldn't you say something if you left a note on the door and ran? I
Right.
mean, you guys know how to you ring people's doorbell and run all the time. Like
Right. We used to do that.
if you know something, why wouldn't you say something? To me,
Exactly.
that was a special kind of evil. It
Yeah.
didn't me that you were afraid or not afraid because I'm 15, okay? And I'm
Right.
figure out because I'm 15 and I'm thinking if it was me, I'd be telling.
Exactly.
And the consequences didn't really matter much because you don't think about consequences when you're 15, but you also don't think about tomorrow that could be you. Like my family
Exactly.
was fine one day, and
Right.
the day we were a statistic.
Right. And for
And
those that don't know, I'm sorry, Stacy. For those that don't know, um, it was only Stacy and Marvin. Those were her only children, and Marvin was her oldest son, her only son. So it was just Stacy and Marvin. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, so that was really disheartening. I mean, I would see people, I would see like how they would look at me. They would like smile, look away real quick. Sometimes people
Oh,
heard anything, and I'm like, no, but what have you heard? Because I'm like, at that point, I was like really flip with people because I felt
right.
it's kind of like you can know who knows something, and you're just like,
I remember that time. I remember that period in your life. I
yeah.
remember.
'Cause I was like, I,
Yeah.
I didn't feel the need um to withhold the fact that I was really disappointed
Right.
in that I had grown up in this place and these people knew us. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It, food, you know, whether she cooked for your family funeral or whatever the case may be,
Right.
doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people never knew about because we just were very discretionary.
Right.
Felt like, gosh, like this is like really not cool,
Right.
really evil. And I thought, I just knew that people knew and would not.
Right.
And I don't believe that I don't believe that I was wrong in feeling that way.
Right.
And I feel that way because there were so many rumors, right? Rumors are derived out of some form of truth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means that whoever is talking about that thing knows at least this much. And with all the people talking, if 1% of what you're saying is true, by the time you add it all up, that could have been leads.
Right.
I feel like even if it was all dead ends, I would have rather had chased a dead end
Right.
than to have you know something,
Right.
share it.
Now, what happened? Let me ask you. What happened when the police finally got in touch with you, found you in Middletown, like you guys were across the
Yeah.
world?
I,
Like, what happened? Like I had said earlier when you weren't on, if they would have asked people that were around your age, people could have. I knew you were in Middletown. Nobody asked.
I think
You know,
that
like,
that
what
whole
happened?
thing was very interesting,
Yeah.
because you know my mother was still in South Fallsburg at the time. She had a flat in Fallsburg at the time still, even though she lived at our house for the most
Hmm.
part because
Yeah,
she was
cause
me take care of my kids.
yeah.
My husband worked, I worked, and I had a daycare that I owned for 8 years, and my mom helped me with all of that.
Right.
So even though she had an apartment uh, in South Fallsburg, so literally, if they were really looking for her, she wouldn't have been hard to find. At that
She
time,
wouldn't
we
have
had
been hard.
all that stuff as well.
Cause y'all were there
It,
forever.
it wouldn't have mattered. I mean,
Right.
it would have been easy to find out that she had a lease right in South Fallsburg.
Right.
There aren't that many apartment complexes. It would have been
Right.
easy to find. And then secondly, she still had a PO box there, you know. And obviously, if the mail is not going to the PO box, it's going somewhere. That
Right.
if you're police and you're trying to find somebody, the post office would have complied and said such and such Laurel Avenue. I can't remember the name.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of all of that, since she lived in Fallsburg and still had to walk and catch the bus,
Right. Right.
you know, you're seeing her.
You
You know
seen
she's,
her.
you know, she's going to the post office when she's there. Then I'm in Middletown. I was there 16 plus
But
years.
they didn't know where you were.
You know,
Yeah, they didn't know where
but
you were.
I produced some story about us being from the islands and we must go home to the islands because, of course, my brother is running guns.
Right.
Trust me, if he was that sophisticated, in terms of running guns,
Mm-hmm.
you think we would have been living in Main Street houses.
Because for the people that don't know, at the time there was like some sort of run in West Virginia. They were saying
But
of the
yeah,
right young Jamaican black boys. It was like a
but my thing,
whole. That's what they were saying.
but my thing is, this question is for the thinking people. Do you actually think we would have been living in Main Street houses if my brother was actually such a big gun runner? First
Right.
of all, like, are you saying like I'm trying to think about the time it would take to get to West Virginia and back home again without my mother even knowing that you were gone?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just trying to like what are you thinking?
Right.
And if you thought that, that means you know more than you're telling. Or at least you heard more than you're telling.
Right.
Right? So again, I'm not interested in fake stories. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm interested in information that could lead to an outcome.
Right.
May not be the best thing for my family, but at
Right.
least it would have meant closure or, I mean, I went to college paranoid, worrying, looking over my shoulder. Okay, if they took him, are they coming for me too?
Right.
The thing, like people don't understand the level and the levels of PTSD and everything else that comes along with that. If it was not for God, man,
Right.
that's all I could tell you. It
Right.
wasn't for God. It's interesting. It's really, and I even contacted some of his classmates. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of them were like nervous. They didn't want to talk to me. I'm talking about black, white, male, female.
Really?
Years, yeah. I mean, I've been in constant contact with the ex girlfriend from that time. That was a lot.
Cause she sounds suspicious to me.
Could
Sound
have,
like she knows something.
and you
You
know what?
saying?
The last time I spoke to her was probably like 2 years ago, and what she said to me was, what did she say? Well, I can't remember anything from that day, Stacy. It's been so long.
You don't forget that. Things like that you do not forget.
Let me
You
tell
know.
you,
Mm,
I did hear that um, she had some friends that were not too comfortable with the idea that she was dating a black
black.
guy.
In
And
1985. Yeah. Yeah.
so, you know, they had to sort of involve themselves in the situation and basically tell him, this is not going to work. So, you need to step back type of thing. She didn't tell us about that. Her
Mm-hmm.
did.
Her who?
Her roommate, Nora, whose name I can't forget right now. Hmm.
I'm
So,
just curious, like where the police investigation went with this girlfriend. Like,
well,
how is she? Is she still in the land of the living? You
she,
know.
she
Nah, they need to reopen this, and somebody need to question her. She need to answer some things.
she's in Virginia Beach.
Uh huh. Living a life fantastic. Probably got a family and all that other stuff. Like la la la.
Well, I'll tell you this, like, my brother had gone to a party like the week before he disappeared,
Mm-hmm.
a student's house, um, who went to Fallsburg High School.
Okay.
Father was prominent in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. And he came home and he was telling my mom about this party.
Mm-hmm.
Said, "Yeah, I don't know, mom. I think it's real possible I could have seen something that I probably shouldn't have seen.
Mhm.
He did let her know he wasn't the only one that saw it,
Mhm.
but what he described
Mhm.
was like Scarface, a mountain pile of, you know.
Yeah. Cocaine.
Now, obviously, I wouldn't want to discredit my brother in any way. He was not
Right.
using time, you know. And so, obviously, if I didn't want anybody to think he was, I wouldn't mention it. But I don't,
Right.
because I'm not really here to save a reputation. I'm here to find my brother.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
And so, but I mean, it's just like people like to create new stories when they don't
Absolutely.
mention. Um,
Right.
just like we're Jamaican, and actually we have descent, people in Jamaica in our family, yes. However, my mother was not born in Jamaica. My mother was born in South Carolina in the Low Country, where the people do have accents like West African and Jamaican people.
And your mom had an accent.
Gigi people, they speak Gullah. That's how it works. So if you hear them together with a bunch of people that are from those other two places I just described, you might think they're all speaking the same language, but they're not. It's a derivative of a broken English, but
Okay.
and it sounds very similar because it's kind of like everybody got here, but it's kind of where the boat stopped on the way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
language, just like the rice dishes, just like various things have been passed along,
Mhm.
and that's why we have the similarities. Well, that's part of it. So anyway, to hear that, my brother is a Jamaican gun runner, like that's the best you guys could do.
Yeah.
You ask us. So probably 20 years ago, Oliver Maxson from the Times Herald Record, he came to our house, maybe a little more than 20. He came to our house and um, in Middletown, and he wrote an article about our family and my brother, and because he was like, I really want to revisit this story and how this all happened and so forth and so on. And
Right.
so that's what we did. We had this conversation about my brother. We had this
Mhm.
conversation about um, my mom was kind of like indifferent because she felt like, what are you doing here?
Right.
We've been looking for him this whole time,
Right.
and you're a newscaster. Why are you here?
Right.
You're what are you getting out of this kind of thing?
Right.
So we didn't kind of know. Excuse me. We didn't kind of know like what the point of it was.
Right.
You know, we just kind of wanted to figure out what it was, and it turned out that he became like a friend of our family. He was very sincere and very honest about what he was doing, and really all he was doing was trying to see what happened. Where did
Right.
the story go? How did it end? How come there was never any closure? I mean, there's a lot of people that have been missing and never found, um, and so we know that it's possible for that kind of stuff to happen.
Mhm.
For somebody to go missing and found. But how I feel today in 2021 is that they had a lot more information to work with.
Yeah.
We were there immediately to talk to them.
Mhm.
They were negligent,
Extremely.
and
I mean, come on. The chief made a comment like that right there is telling you what it is.
then even going forward, I'm not friends with Simi Williams, but
Mhm.
he is someone who was my brother's friend, or so I thought anyway.
Right.
But
Who is the current chief in South Fallsburg?
he
Right.
he allowed these two individuals to talk to the Times Herald Record and say a lot of things that were not accurate.
You talking about Detective Pervasi?
And this other guy, do you see there's a picture of him standing next to a police car or something?
That's well not is he a detective? That's Pervasi.
Okay.
That's yeah. Detective Brendan Pervasi. Yeah.
And I was kind of put out because I was like, he wants to dig up a cold case, have conversations about my brother, potentially get on cold case on TV, have
Right.
all the conversations without me.
Right.
And I was like, we're not having it. This is not happening, you know? So I
Mm-hmm.
called the police station to talk to Simi. Um, and he just kind of like, he kind of blew me off. I could tell you it was a very short conversation.
What?
Um, and
Well, I don't know why I'm sounding surprised. I'm sorry.
it was interesting because I just thought, well, wow, a little title kind of changed you up a little bit. But then my mind went back to who I remember him being in high school, and then I wasn't surprised anymore because our interactions were few because he
Mm-hmm.
was older than me.
Right.
But I'm the observant type who
Right.
makes mental notes, and I just remembered a lot of things after that because I had spoken to him and I had also shown up at the police station
Mm-hmm.
one time just to have a conversation. So that didn't go anywhere. Um, but I was really clear. Don't print another story about my brother without having a conversation with me first.
Exactly. Without getting consent. Exactly.
You know, like
Right.
you can write whatever you want to write, but can you write the truth? It's not like you don't know me.
R- right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I know
Like
what you're saying.
I'm someone who you know.
I mean, like, right. Some consideration, some compassion,
Like
something.
like you know my mom.
Right. Something. Have a heart. Something.
Like I would never write something about your mother without
Yeah. The
I was
disrespect of it all. Right.
this woman who ran Head Start forever and we all revered her and all these other things.
This is disgusting. That's
You know,
what it is.
I'm I'm it's sad.
Yeah.
Like so I kind of
It's
figured out how I was like, how am I gonna show up today? Like it's his birthday, happy birthday
right.
to my brother
Right.
and all kind of kisses to heaven. And I remember him like I remember him. Yeah.
Exactly, because that's your big brother.
And so I don't have another memory of him other than the one that I had the day that he disappeared.
Right.
Um, so whatever anybody else thought of him or whatever doesn't really matter to me.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's his birthday,
Right.
and I'm really grateful for everyone who got on here, and uh, because it's kind of an honor for him for people to show up
Right.
to rem- and to think about his story.
Because people didn't forget. People just
Yeah,
some people just stopped talking about it. After over years, and then when there's that false narrative out there that you guys know where he is, and I keep
oh,
telling people,
yeah,
I'm like, look, he would not have done that to his mother. He wouldn't have. This makes no sense.
actually, and it would be hard for my mom to do that to the general population to make people
Because that,
think that
yeah, that wasn't her
we
at
don't
all.
know. Like we could have, we stayed in Fallsburg because my mom was like, he's gonna come back.
Yeah, I
We
believe
didn't have
that.
that wretched place with all that nonsense. We didn't
Right.
have to stay.
Right.
We could, in West Virginia, after all, where he was running guns,
Right.
like
Right.
of all
Right.
places.
Right.
Like don't go to West Virginia, by the way. Ugh.
I'm not going.
But so we did have a few times when I was contacted. Well, more than a few, but when the police department from um, different places around the country would contact us to see, to to talk about progress in the case. And essentially, what would happen is that we either have a body that matches his, or we have DNA based on what he was wearing. We found the backpack. I'm like, okay, he wasn't carrying a backpack, so that wouldn't be him. It was a duffel bag, and it was actually the duffel bag that I made him in home ec. So, I,
Home ec.
girl, yeah, remember home ec?
I remember home ec.
So I knew exactly what it looked like because I made it, right? So, so I was able to ward off some of that, showing up in places where people didn't really have information that was really relevant to him.
Right.
I mean, the few times when I was old enough to go to a morgue, and then it was like, well, you know, we're not quite sure. And my brother was chocolate, you
Yeah.
know, on the melanin spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So I get to the place and the person is like the color of, I don't know, Nicki Minaj. I don't know. And I'm like, so
That does not fit the description at all. That's just trauma, unnecessary trauma.
yeah, I just would like, can I see an arm? If the person was not submerged in water, I don't even want to look at them.
Right.
It's really messed up. The few
Yeah.
times I have to look at somebody who was in relatively good condition, but still very dead. And
Right.
I don't want to do that. It's like
Right. Right.
it's very scary and very hard to walk to the morgue in the first place. And obviously, if it's someone that you love that's missing, you want to be as close to that person as you possibly can. I'm not looking through no window. I'm not making no mistake. I'm
Right.
coming in the room. And
Right.
then, but after I realized that these people were just sloppy, I was like,
Yeah.
all right, let's just do something different. Is there an identifying mark? Very specific when I was asking for an identifying mark
Right.
um, on his forehead,
Right.
above his, and if you don't have that, and if the person is like not darker than me, we don't even
Right.
need that conversation. Unless they've been soaking in water for like whatever.
Yeah.
We, you know, and then we at that time I remember they went ahead and they dragged Kamisha Lake.
Mm-hmm.
It was all kinds of drama. That was a thing. There was another lake they looked in for him. I want to say White Lake.
So they did look in the lakes. Oh, allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly. Okay.
We didn't find nothing, Miss Gibbs, and we're using these sonar equipment. It would find a filling in a tooth, and okay, so we were hopeful
Right.
that at least
It wasn't in the lakes.
we were hopeful that we could at least bury him if we had to.
Right. Closure.
Thing. People don't-
Answers.
Closure is bigger than just um closure is big.
Right.
Even if you, even if you said here's a body, we don't really know how he died.
Right.
If you were to say that would have
You
been
have him.
better
Right.
than,
Than this.
what I mean, than nothing.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
I'm not the visiting the grave type, but if I wanted to, I had the option.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I could, with that information, pack my mom up and leave.
Right.
I feel like all of the stress, all of the anxiety, dealing with all those issues, I feel like all of that stuff really played a really big toll on my mom's health.
Exactly. That's absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there was that myth about him being in Virginia. The other myth about us hiding him someplace in South Carolina. There was the the other thing about even if he wasn't in South Carolina, that we knew where he was.
Right.
Um, I want to tell you about the times when I would come home every day after school, and my mother would be in his room on her knees at his bed praying
No,
for him.
I'm getting ready to cry. Oh.
So you know, people, I don't,
Oh.
people get it.
Oh my God. I can't. Oh.
I'm
And you being a daughter, and you want to take this pain from your mother.
well, or fix it. Some
Right. And there are people out there that know something and aren't
I
doing it. Oh my
the
God.
time was
Ain't
down
got an answer to it, just God. That's all I got
some
to say.
critic who will be like, "Oh my God, how come she's not emotional? How come
Because
she's
this
this?"
is years and stuff.
This is this is the layer you get
Oh
today.
my God.
Because honestly, and I'm not being cocky, this is
No,
kind of what you're entitled to. I hope that you showed up for the right reason and not for a show. Because I'm not here for that.
no, no,
You know what I
no.
mean? I mean,
Right.
so
You want
so
answers.
you know, my stuff is personal.
Yes.
No, we've done the crying, and we've talking to Al Sharpton, and we've done all of that. And I'm
Right.
not saying there aren't tears. I'm saying it's about activism at this point. It's
Exactly.
about finding people's kids, not just my
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
It's about the fact that millions of people go missing every day, and they're not all dead.
Right.
You know,
Some are trafficked. Some go. Some left. It's like different situations, but it's
but not.
important like how you explained your brother's habits.
Mhm.
It shows that that's not who he is.
And all of these people that are missing are somebody's brother, uncle, child, and daughter, niece.
Right.
Everybody, you know, is somebody. And I think what happens is we watch so much news and we become just desensitized to
Yeah.
the things that because we see so much of it. But he's my brother
Exactly. Your
and
mother's son.
whole person who matters
Yes.
still.
Yes.
And he'll matter long after the fact, after we find him and find out what happened to him. He'll still
Exactly.
because he'll be
Exactly.
full of what happens when you let the ball drop or when you let yourself be prejudiced because this person is black and this person is white. But it's like when it's time for somebody to give you a lift, you don't care what color they are.
Right.
You want to live, right?
Exactly.
And just all I know is, I'm a nurse, so I know a lot of things about things that happen also on the level of just trafficking people
Hmm.
and from a medical perspective. And I don't think that that's the case for then. I know that somebody took my brother. I
Right.
know that somebody would capitalize from his being quiet, obviously,
Hmm.
because that was the point of that, right?
Right. Because
If
apparently he was afraid. He went to your mom.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he told her, he's like, I don't know, mom. And
Oh.
exactly 5 days later, he went missing. 2 days, well, one day after the second time somebody was looking for him at this particular store. So according to the bus driver, he
Hmm.
caught the bus and she dropped him off.
It was a
He was
female
trying
bus driver.
correct,
See that story. See the stories are all messed up. Okay.
and she
Okay.
dropped, and somewhere I'm gonna say between Lock Sheldrake and Liberty
Hmm.
because she told him she wasn't going any further or something like that. And that's her story, which is also kind of odd in my opinion.
Hmm.
But the point is, he didn't catch a ride to Liberty with somebody, some rando. He didn't catch a ride from some woman who
Hmm.
dropped him off somewhere. He was supposedly on a bus.
Right.
Okay. Um, to my knowledge, and I have to say, I looked in the trunk regularly because we were always at the store. He wasn't running guns because apparently there were some guns in his trunk and my mother knew about it or whatever. Some drama like that.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. He wasn't in West Virginia frequently because
Right.
he was a college student working at the yarn company. And unless, you can clock in, like there weren't a lot of black boys working at the yarn company.
Hmm.
Okay. He was there. That's what his checks say,
Hmm.
you know.
Right.
He was in school, passing culinary arts with flying colors, doing
Right.
very.
So how was he in West Virginia? Right.
Um, let me see. I can't think of anything else except for the fact that I know that people know and haven't talked, and it's really concerning. Like it's
It's
actually,
disturbing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, like I withdrew from a lot of people because
Right.
I felt like we don't, we're not who I thought we were.
Right.
You know, that's
Now let me ask you. Let me ask you, because like listen to your story. An actual person that y'all know, like correct me if I'm wrong, an actual person that you guys communicated with was this girlfriend
hmm
that saw him at like 4:30 that day.
yeah,
And then it jumps to 9 p.m. that night or like the next day. Like how does
yeah.
that
We're calling her every hour. Sorry.
do the police have names? I don't know. Somebody asked if the police have names. Well,
No,
apparently the chief was a racist and he really didn't care.
oh,
So
he
they
was.
didn't let the ball drop. They threw the ball out the court. They didn't even let it drop. They purposely threw the ball. They purposely let the ball. If anybody know anything about basketball in my language, they let the ball fly by them. They wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
well. They just, they couldn't be bothered. They obviously had bigger things to solve, and that kind of situation.
No, they didn't.
Oh,
No, they did not. They need to worry about the summer population. That's what they need to worry about. But we leave that alone because it was March around that time they was getting ready for them.
sorry,
I'm
guys.
sorry, I digress. I'm sorry.
Like cooking dinner, and
Yeah, thank you for
no, it's no problem.
Okay.
I have some stuff to do anyway, so I wanted to get it out of the way. But so basically, I just feel. Let me see. I'm gonna do something real quick because I feel like this is so dark. It's better. Yeah, yeah. They had a lot of leads,
Right.
even
Sounds like it.
right. So even if it's not like so much was happening in Fallsburg at the time that they couldn't have devoted some time to him.
Right.
Um, it's like practically Mayberry. So
Right.
it's not like there was so much exciting things happening around there that they couldn't have given some attention to this case or even assigned a couple of cops.
Yeah.
And then the Monticello, the sheriff's department, they had gotten involved. They were helping. Um, let's see, the state police got involved. It became a thing. Like it became a situation with Eyewitness News. You know, it was incessant.
Mhm.
The Adam Walsh Foundation, they were really, really empathetic and helpful,
Right.
I would say. And then there was like the National Missing Persons Foundation or Association. I think they're based in California at the time.
Uh-huh.
They were really, really helpful. They gave us a lot of information. But then there were all these other organizations.
Right.
My mom started like donating money to every organization,
Right.
had something missing attached to it. So I started weeding through all these things, and I found out that these people were basically collecting money and not doing any work. Cut all of them off,
Right.
and kept the ones that were actually giving money to find the person that was missing. And that's part of the reason that kind of halted me a little bit because what I needed was a private investigator,
Mhm.
and that was expensive. So after
Right.
doing it for a little while, I had to stop doing that. Um, that became expensive, and that's the reason why I'm not actually further along in my, you know, investigation. Plus,
Investigation.
I have a husband, I have 4 kids.
Right.
Um,
That didn't get to know their uncle.
no, and two baby grandsons. Um, so we have a lot of life happening around us at the same time,
Right.
which is beautiful
Mhm.
to have life happening around you at the same time.
Let me ask you, when was the last time any any police department bureau reached out to you? Like
three
when was
years,
the last? How many?
three.
3. And was
Needed
it
to,
was
needed to go give DNA,
Mhm.
um, because they had someone that they felt like that it matched his.
Fit the description?
The thing is this, I'm really, 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 really specific about my DNA. I don't store my DNA in a database.
Mhm.
If you want, you can collect it, use it, and then destroy it. And then if you want it again, you can have it. I don't want to be just in a database having my stuff run against multiple people, but I also don't want my DNA to show up at some scene where I never was.
Right.
Kind of thing happens. It's probably a little bit paranoia from being in
Well,
prison.
look at what you've gone through.
Yeah, and working in the, the prison as a nurse. You know, I just it's just a no for me. So, and I figure if you have new news, you should be sharing it with me anyway. So it's
Yeah, they should be seeking you out. Like they know where you are now.
mhm.
Like this should be ongoing. I
Yeah,
still don't understand how this girlfriend and all them just got to say they don't remember what happened and get to walk away. Like, oh, I don't understand that. And
isn't
the
that
other people, friends or whatever, that were interviewed, like shows I've seen, cold case shows, they do go back years later.
mm-hmm.
And then eventually somebody on their deathbed or whatever, because somebody said something to somebody, you know?
Well, that's like there is a version of telephone in this particular case that is actually,
Oh,
I promise you, somebody knows.
absolutely.
Somebody knows, like where,
With anything, yeah,
yeah. And so it's like, say something.
right,
You we have this: if you see something, say something. If you know something, say something.
yeah,
So today, I'm asking people, anybody, You can do it anonymously,
Hmm. I had put
you know.
the information for Fallsburg with the
What?
case number, and that's it's sad that we laugh at that. It's sad that that's where it is. It's really disgusting. It's disgusting. They need to be ashamed of themselves.
Think who I would trust with the information. That's the
Right.
thing.
Like how thick is that file? How I mean like really, how thick is that file? How much
Oh, I'll
groundwork have they done?
tell you, the last time I saw the file,
Hmm.
it was about this thick.
And that was from 1985. It should be a whole binder, two bind. I mean like them big giant
It should
with
be
the tabs and stuff.
the boxes that you put your files in. It should
Yeah. I
be
mean March 29th, 1985.
this thick.
They need to be ashamed of themselves. And the fact that what was his name, the chief?
Sammy Siegel.
Sa- that Sammy Siegel, if he's still alive, dead, I don't know. The fact that he's able to make those comments and people honor him or whatever like that, that it wasn't reinvestigated because he made that comment. You already know that there's racism all over going on in this case. That should have been addressed.
And I want to say that that was included in Eyewitness News's
No, it wasn't.
or something like that because my
Oh,
mom ever. What happened? Where did he go? How did it end? Mm. That's weird. Oh, okay. I don't know what that was,
you
but
look just like your mother. Oh my God.
yeah, it looked like I
You
wear
look
it
just like her.
every day.
Hmm.
I I know that there was a lot of information as to you know that information, just the prejudice and all of that. And my mother, that mattered to her, but what mattered more to her was finding her son.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that's
So
her
I'm trying to
baby.
figure out who to trust with the information to actually use the information going forward.
I understand.
I don't have a problem with people talking to the Fallsburg Police Department because the case originates out of Fallsburg. So
Right.
to some degree and on some level, you have
Right.
to them.
And the detective is still working there. So the detective on the case is still working there.
Hmm. Okay.
So if anybody has any questions or you want to know something or you got information, he is there. Um, Detective Pavesi. I mean, he
Well,
shouldn't feel bothered if people are coming by with information or whatever, right?
no, he shouldn't. And I want to say that people had reached out to Bunky prior to the show,
Mm-hmm.
like a couple of months ago when you first started posting, and had given you their phone number to give to me or whatever,
Right.
requested speaking to me. And first of all, I hope that nobody felt any kind of way because I
Right.
had not reached out to anybody. I really didn't want to talk to anybody before the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that people meant well, but I just wanted to. Um, I didn't want to do a lot of talking because I just didn't want to have a situation where um, people, well meaning or not, are sort of doing their own footwork and investigation and all of that. And then I'm getting bombarded before the show even happens. I
Right.
didn't want to deal with any of that.
Right.
So,
And you're protective of him. That's your brother.
exactly.
Right.
No matter what he was or what anybody thought he is, he first and foremost belongs to our family.
Right.
And so I'm grateful to anyone who comes forward with any information. Bunky, I don't mind if you put um, my email in the chat.
Okay.
I think that would be okay.
Okay.
Um,
So I'll put that
and
there
then
for
if,
people.
if someone wants to email me or if someone wants to DM me on Facebook, I'm open to that. And then if it makes sense, then we can have a conversation. But I'm pretty I'm not just cautious. I'm just
Right.
mindful that
Exactly.
not everything is for me to listen to and hear.
Right.
And I don't want to. I've already done this thing where I had to literally do a soul cleanse and a mind cleanse. I don't want to have to do that again
Right.
for the sake of gathering information that's not going anywhere anyway.
Right.
Just because somebody wants to have a conversation with me or being.
Right.
You know, there's no inside no. There's nothing. We're all doing the same thing, looking for
Right.
information on the disappearance of Marvin.
Right.
That's what we're doing. You know what I mean? So like, you know, access doesn't necessarily give you more information.
Right.
You know,
Marvin C. Gibbs. I googled him
we're looking
and
for him.
found a lot of stuff. But this thing with this girlfriend, as you can see, it's totally blowing my mind.
Hmm.
Totally, and the fact that you know where she is, so the police, if they cared, know where she is. Somebody needs to be knocking on her door,
I
asking
mean,
her
I found her.
questions.
I Googled her and I found her.
Right. Right.
It was easy. It was easy.
You know, I hope her peace is so. Is that horrible to say? And
Nope.
I hope her peace is so disturbed. Anybody that knows anything, I hope that they cannot sleep at night
Hmm.
because Marvin wasn't a thin dude. He wasn't fat either, but he what you said he was like 210,
I think he was 190 when he
190.
disappeared.
But I know I can't lift 190
Hmm.
dead weight. She saw when he went into Hilldale, which is still standing. It's not a college dorm anymore. They're like mini apartments, but it's still standing. That should now if she was a black girl and if she was a black girl, the situation would be different.
Yeah.
Even though he's a black boy, he was a black boy. He was 19. But if it was
Right.
a black girl involved in this situation, I
Yeah.
don't know. It would have been
She
different.
what would have happened is she'd have went in up. She would have went up in there and been like, "Look, we gotta go," because
Unless it was like a setup or something. I don't sounding a little suspect.
can listen.
I
But
don't know.
all I
And I'm
really
not an investigator.
all I really want is
Right.
my we will
Exactly.
person who did him dirty. We're gonna find that person anyway.
Yeah. And if you don't, God will.
You don't have to answer to me necessarily, but you're gonna answer to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. I believe in reciprocity. I believe that you reap what you sow.
Exactly.
Some people call it karma. I mean, whatever,
I was gonna say that karma. Yep.
whatever you want to call it, it's perfectly fine.
Right.
But I can tell you, um, you reap what you sow. So I'm not saying that that makes me any less active in his case because okay, so here's something that nobody knows because it's uh, specific to our family. My daughter is married to a man. My second daughter is married to a man from Portugal. He came. He's here. He's in the States. He went to Penn State. Um, and while he was at Penn State studying criminal justice, he was given an assignment. He had to write a paper. Oh, wait a minute. Is Carmen saying something happened to the screen? Hang
Yeah,
on.
it's getting kind of dark.
Is it?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
I do
there goes
that?
some light.
I think it's because it got dark outside.
Yeah, probably. Well,
Let's,
still a little light here.
I
Where
can
we're
fix
at.
that. Um, so
So
what?
what better than his uncle-in-law?
So what happened was, um, is that better?
A lot better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now you can see all my chubby cheeks.
It's
I don't really
okay.
care. I look good. I have 4 kids. Whatever. Um, so so basically what happened was this. He wrote this essay on my brother. He did all this research and he wrote a paper. And after he wrote the paper, I was contacted by the Pennsylvania police.
Okay.
Okay. Hmm. Who had been in connection with someone in Quantico, the FBI.
Okay.
So 3 years ago, that's when all of this happened. Never found. Um, why is this talking? So we know in the background. Oh.
I don't know. That's
Well, so that's what happened. He wrote a paper. As a result of him writing the paper, I was contacted by the FBI, who then put me in touch with some guy at the West Virginia Police Department, who then had me go to a specific place here in Houston their missing persons, whatever division,
Mm-hmm.
to give DNA,
Uh-huh.
which I did. And it turned out that the person that they had was not my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but I'm still in touch with this lady at Quantico.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, if any decent information came, hi Carmen, if any information came in that made any sense, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would happily pass that information along to her. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
as far as they're concerned, the case is open.
Right. Well, it should be because there is no closure. So
Right.
until there's closure, it shouldn't be closed.
So they're like, as far as they're concerned, this is an open case.
Right.
So this is what's really going on. And I just, I have a family, so of course we don't know who took them. So
Right.
I'm careful because I have a family. I'm not
Exactly.
I'm not saying I'm walking around living in fear because obviously, if it was that, I would have already changed my name and done other
Right.
things, or. But that's another reason why I don't do a whole lot of access with
Right.
people because I just
Right.
like I don't know what people do with information these days,
Right.
and
Well,
just,
thank you so much for being on Tea Time. I appreciate you. I
so
do.
and I appreciate the ask.
Yeah.
Um, I know we talked about doing this again, so
Absolutely.
the next time it'll be like a little bit different, but this was like it's the first kind of show that I've
Hmm.
actually done. So it was kind of like trying to feel my way around a little bit and
Right.
see what how that was going to work out. But I really like to next time talk a lot about the statistics surrounding missing persons.
Whatever you want to talk about. I'm just
It'll just,
praying that this gets enough groundwork that they start doing what this. Oh, it was never closed, but do the work that you're getting paid to do. You know, put what people don't seem to want to do in these cases is to put themselves in the shoes of the family
yeah, yeah. It's
because by the
empathy.
grace of God, it could be them. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm. Exactly.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, I just want to, admonish people to speak up
yeah,
because people need to, it would have been so encouraging to know that people actually cared about, cared enough, I should say,
hmm,
to say, you know what, Miss Gibbs didn't deserve that.
she didn't. We know that.
Nobody deserves it,
No,
but we know her and she
right.
doesn't. And
And Fallsburg is small for people that don't know. We're a
right.
small community, so everybody knows everybody in some way, shape, or fashion. You know.
And that his little sister is now walking around sort of like just out there
Yeah.
unprotected. At least she had a big brother.
Right.
I'm not going to say my mom didn't look out for me, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but it was just different to have a male,
Right.
you know, a somebody that was older than me. Um, yeah, it was just different. And
Yeah.
so, um, we, I do make shirts. There will be a shirt available for missing persons.
Yeah. Give me your website. I'll post it and advertise the shirts and
Hmm. It'll be specific to missing persons.
I want one with Marvin.
Mm. I, I'm really kind of conflicted about whether or not just to put his face on the shirt or to the put his image, but with a whole lot of other um,
That's cool.
blank images because these people have never been found.
That's
Does
cool.
that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. But you should do one too.
Yeah,
You should do one too with his
yeah,
because
and you know, uh, just to really help with that, and then to help with the cause,
right.
and because I do in Houston, I do a lot of work with the homeless and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the other things that's obviously close to my heart. So I want to be able to affect that change in even in the smallest way. And I can just tell you this: there's a lot of missing people in Fallsburg, in that surrounding area in Sullivan County. And I think if you do the work where you are,
Right.
it's so important, to
Right.
do where you are. So I know that you have to wind up, right, Bunky?
Right. And yeah. No, but go ahead. Finish talking about doing the work where you live.
I think, it's really easy to get caught up in the global things and all of that. But I think that, I know there's some people missing in South Fallsburg and missing from Monticello and places like that need to be found. And I know people
Exactly.
know something.
They know something.
If
Like
some
there's an event coming up. Just
portion,
want to for Shanice on August 29th from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's all proceeds go to Hope Alive 845. And this is
and,
an organization which are looking for, missing and exploited children and adults.
and I'm all the way in Texas and I know about that.
Yeah. For those that don't know,
So
it's free
I hope
except
that
for
you guys are over there and you know something about it
right,
and you're gonna participate.
right.
I don't know if they're selling hot dogs or whatever. Show
Yeah.
up.
Right.
If you don't eat hot dogs, that's fine.
Donate,
Leave a
right.
donation.
Buy one for the kid next to you.
You know
Here.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bring your lettuce wrap and eat that while you watch everybody else eat their hot dog,
Let
and
that
just and be a part of something,
right.
because tomorrow it could be your kid. God,
Right.
you
Right.
know what I mean? And just be involved. Get involved and be helpful. Just be
Right.
helpful. And show up because it's your community. You know.
Yes. Well,
So
Stacy, we're doing this again. You already told them about it.
yeah.
We're doing this again.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you
having
being,
me.
no doubt, because we all grew up together, and I'm younger than you are,
Yeah.
but like I was telling you, like I remember Marvin throwing me out the house every time we would come to the house when your mom wasn't home because nobody was supposed to be in the house when Sister Gibbs was working.
That's
But
right.
so it's memories, and like I always wondered like what was going on. Like we would have little conversations or whatever, but I knew like the conversations I was having with you, nobody else was having. There was all these speculations and assumptions and all these false narratives being
Right.
put out there, and I figured nobody else could stop it better than Stacy, his sister,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
directly involved in it, and you did
Yeah.
that hopefully.
And the next time we'll do some more debunking, and I'll be a little bit more like free, maybe.
Right. It's the
But
first time. It's the
I
first
just
time.
wanna I just wanted to come on here to let people know that we've not stopped just
Right.
because you haven't heard from us,
Right.
and to keep his memory alive, and to keep and it's funny, I talk about him like he's a memory, because in my mind, if it's not that I lost hope, I just have a clear understanding about how these things kind of work sometimes.
Right.
And I'm not, God showed me something.
Right.
So
And
I'm
you
okay
talked
with what
about
I
that. Yeah.
I'm okay with what I saw, and I
Right.
can probably share that the next time.
Yes. That's
I
what I
think that that would be worth sharing.
right.
Some people will be shocked, stunned, and amazed, but it'll be okay.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, the justice part of it needs to be answered,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
we need to help police departments understand that we don't just go away and be quiet because you think we went away and we're quiet. We're not. We're
Right.
not. You should have done something. You didn't do something.
Right.
And here we are as a result of your lack of activity.
And every couple of years, the case should be reassigned to someone. Okay, you're not. I don't see many notes taken. Okay, well maybe we need to put a fresh set of eyes on this. Like that's something maybe they ought to consider. It's been like that article was 2010. You didn't hear from Fallsburg. You heard from another agency in 2018. But town of Fallsburg is the home police department where everything went down. So that
Right?
case should have been reassigned several times by now. You
Indeed.
guys should have heard. Um, hello, Miss Gibbs Callbreath. I'm just checking in, letting you know we haven't heard anything. Something. Say
Hmm.
something.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I
So
expecting.
here's where we are.
Okay.
And now I have an expectation, always have.
Right.
Someone should do whatever their job is.
And they have your email. I'm gonna put it back out there again.
Mm-hmm.
If you know something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no.
Bunky.
I know. I'm doing the most right now.
But I'm laughing.
Like what's?
I'm
I'm
mostly
so
laughing at the
old.
sparkles in your hair. I think it's
Oh
like
no! What happened?
these
It's the background. It's that
these
green.
filters are hysterical.
It's
I'm just
that
like
green screen stuff. It's some that. Um, I'm looking at. I look like my grandmother trying to see something. Um, but it's like no. I really hope Yahoo.com that somebody reaches out to you. Somebody reaches out to the Fallsburg Police Department. Reach out
yeah.
to or their local police department, and they can um, reach out. Here is the contact information again with his case number. Case number is fall 0310. That's the case number. That's the file number. So they need to get on it because at the end of the day, if it was their family
That's it.
and a mother, me being a mother, I can't. I don't even want to imagine all those years that your mom suffered in silence
Mm-hmm.
and people didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
knowing your mom and knowing the relationship she had with her son and her children, and just knowing your mom, and thank God she had the faith that she had, and
Yeah.
that because if not, I don't even know. But
It would
this
have been a different situation.
yeah. So
For
this show
real.
is in honor of her, and happy birthday
Mm-hmm.
to Marvin.
Yeah,
You
appreciate
know,
that.
absolutely, and hopefully, I'm praying that your family finds an answer, something. They need to do better. It's as simple as that. They just need to do better.
And even if the show just raises enough awareness to make police understand that, to have more empathy.
Yes.
It's not just as another case,
Right.
you know what I mean? But to really say, hey, listen, this is what it comes down to. This is what we think is the
Right.
situation. We
Right.
don't know
Right.
if we're going to get closure, but we know that we're going to try our best
Right.
and that kind of thing.
Right.
That would be better than nothing.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So we're gonna get ready. And this says, could you just wait 1 minute? We're gonna close out. I want to thank everybody for joining this special Sunday edition of Where's My Brother Tea Time with Bunky edition. Um, Missing persons. There's a Sullivan County missing person page. For those that are part of Sullivan County, go join it, follow it. Marvin's information, I shared it on there, and I told you when they accepted it.
Okay.
So he's on there, and I shared yesterday. There's a missing vulnerable adult from Liberty, like mental illness and stuff like that. Young man. Um, just keep your eye out. You see something, you know something, say something. So on that note, we're going to end this edition. All you guys have a wonderful night. Be blessed. Stay honest. You see something, know something, report it. It's not being a snitch. It's doing what's right. It's just doing the right thing. So you guys have a wonderful night. Say good night, Stace.
Good night, everybody, and thanks again. I appreciate it.